If life were a movie, then the script I'm stuck with right now is absolutely terrible. My name is Arthur Vance. 5 minutes ago I was still the trash noble of the Vance family who had been kicked out. Now I'm sitting in a rickety wooden cart that's about to fall apart, bouncing along this muddy road to the border wastelands. My dear brother Damien, in order to take the inheritance for himself, used a lousy excuse about me flirting with the Duchess and exiled me to this godforsaken place that isn't even worth marking on a map. Outside the cart there are no birdsong or fragrant flowers, only the low growls of some beast and the terrified gasps of women. Hey Arthur, wake up! If you don't want those gray-skinned, tusked pigs to chew your head off in your dreams, you'd better open your eyes now. A rough but pleasant female voice exploded in my ear. I snapped my eyes open. A blue streak of electric light first swept across my retinas. Then a line of strange text was directly imprinted in my brain. System load complete. Host soul fusion detected. What the hell? I shook my head. Before I could digest the suddenly added bizarre memories about Earth in my mind, the carriage jolted violently, and I slammed against the side of the compartment. Master, get out quickly! I crawled and tumbled out of the carriage, and the sight before me fully sobered me up. This was a desolate expanse of red earth, dotted with dead shrubs. Around the carriage were at least 20 gray-skinned tusked pigs the size of calves. Their eyes were bloodshot, saliva dripping from their mouths smoking white on the ground, clearly mutated beasts. The mercenaries who had been escorting me had long since fled, leaving only 10 women in tattered linen clothes and heavy iron shackles gathered around the carriage. They were the only property I had brought from my family, 10 female slaves treated as expendable. The woman standing in front of me was called Elena. She had once been a royal knight, later demoted to slavery due to factional strife. Even now, with only a broken wooden rod in her hand, her blue eyes still burned with indomitable fury. Arthur, get under the wagon, Elena shouted without looking back. As long as I'm alive, these beasts won't lay a hand on you. Absolute loyalty target detected, Elena. Current level 5. Class, main knight. Loyalty, 100 bound by life and death. Upgrade requirement, 1,000 gold to raise to level 99 limited time newbie offer. I was stunned. A system? Gold coins? I instinctively reached for the heavy leather pouch at my waist. It was the secret stash my mother had slipped me before she died, my last capital to survive in this wasteland. I opened the pouch and saw a neatly stacked bundle of glittering gold coins, no more, no less, exactly 1,000 gold coins. Damn, this is asking me to go all in, I muttered under my breath. At that moment, the largest tusked boar king had already launched its charge. Its 1-meter-long tusks rammed toward Elena like a bulldozer. Elena let out an angry shout and braced her wooden club against its forehead, but the vast difference in level sent her legs sinking deep into the mud, and blood welled from the web of her hand. Elena, catch, I shouted. I didn't throw the coins to her. Instead, following the system command that surfaced in my mind, I placed my hand on the bag of coins and frantically chanted inwardly, System, fill it up, level Elena to 99. 1,000 gold coins deducted. Target, Elena. Leveling up started. In that instant, a pure white beam of light descended onto the otherwise ordinary wasteland, enveloping Elena completely. The wave of terrifying energy instantly flipped the attacking tusk pigs. The boar king let out a cry and was blasted 30+ meters away, smashing into a boulder. The other 9 female slaves covered their mouths in terror, and I widened my eyes as well. In the light, the tattered linen on Elena's body shattered instantly, replaced by a set of fantastic armor that shimmered with a silvery blue glow. Armor formed directly from energy, the splendid holy armor. The broken wooden club in her hand also disappeared, replaced by a tumtor-long cruciform greatsword whose blade flowed with light that seemed capable of cutting through space. Elena turned slowly. Her face, once gaunt from long labor, now shone with vitality. Every strand of hair radiated an otherworldly sense of power. This power. Master, what have you done? She felt the fighting spirit surging through her like a tsunami, her voice trembling. I wiped the cold sweat from my face and looked at my empty coin pouch. Though it hurt, what dominated was an adrenaline-fueled rush. I pointed at the group of beasts regrouping ahead, looking even more frenzied, and grinned. Now's not the time for explanations, Elena. See those fat pigs trying to make me their lunch? Turn them all into crispy bacon for me. Elena dropped to one knee, plunged her great sword into the ground, and her gaze went ice-cold in an instant. As you command, my lord. Your will is the direction of my blade. She rose, and the red earth beneath her feet split with a thunderous crack. Before I could even make out her motion, she became a silver streak and charged straight into the pack. Bang, bang, bang! It was the sound of air being split in an instant. Every flash of sword light was accompanied by the wail of a tusked boar. What does it mean for a level 99 maxed warrior to fight a level 5 wild monster? It's like a maxed account returning to the novice village to slaughter slimes. Just 10 seconds. The 20-odd imposing tusked boars from a moment ago had turned into chunks of meat and spurting blood across the ground. The boar king tried to flee but was cut cleanly in half at the waist by a crescent-shaped sword Elena casually swung. The cut was as smooth as a mirror. Elena carried her great sword and stepped back to me through the blood. The armor on her body automatically sank into her skin and reverted to those ragged clothes. But the suffocating pressure of a powerhouse still couldn't be hidden. The other 9 girls were completely stunned. The way they looked at me was like viewing an otherworldly deity descended to the mortal realm. Master, the threat has been eliminated. Also, Elena pointed at the beast's corpses. There seems to be something glittering inside their bellies. I walked over and saw that above each tusk pig carcass floated a tiny phantom of a coin pouch. Killed mutated tusk pig. Gained 500 gold. Killed mutated tusk pig. Gained 500 gold. Killed tusk pig king. Gained 5,000 gold. I counted it up from this wave of combat. I actually earned 15,000 gold. I looked at the ground full of gold mines, then at the group of girls beside me who, though weak, were growing increasingly fanatical in their eyes, and the gloom of exile in my heart was swept away. Borders? Poverty? Screw that. With this system, this wasteland is not my grave but my cash machine. I looked at the other 9 girls and the corner of my mouth lifted. Ladies, want to experience the feeling of ascending? Don't rush, there's enough for everyone. I, Arthur Vance, am about to officially go cheat mode on the border. Staring at the large patch of mutated pig corpses on the open ground turned into white light. I rubbed my temples to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Damn, 15,000 gold coins. I extended my right hand and gently swept through the air, the phantom money pouches suspended there, as if pulled by a powerful magnet. Transformed into a skyful of golden light points that continuously flowed into my forehead. The system's mechanical voice rang cheerfully in my mind. This sound was 10,000 times more delightful than the clinking of slot machines dispensing money I'd heard in my past life in Las Vegas. Ding! Kill rewards for mutated Fang Pig and Pig King have been automatically credited to the system account. Current balance, 15,000 gold coins. I took a deep breath of air tinged with the scent of blood and turned my head. The 9 remaining female slaves were crowded beside the carriage. Filthy from head to toe, their faces written with shock and disbelief. What thrilled me the most, though, was that the way they looked at me had changed. The death-like despair was gone, replaced by a frenzy of adoration as if a god had descended. Master, the girl, with a tousled mop of red hair and a pointed chin, swallowed and, mustering courage, spoke up. Her name was Chloe. She used to run with thieves on the street. Are you a god from the heavens? Or a wizard who wields some ancient magic? Mate, I'm neither a god nor a wizard. I brushed the dirt off my pants and casually leaned against the tattered carriage. I'm just a man who hates poverty and hates even more seeing his women treated like trash. So, now the question is, who wants to be next? I pulled up the system control panel. I have to admit, that system merchant really knows how to run a promotion. Upgrading Elena just now cost only 1,000 gold. That was the new player special pack. But now, to pull an ordinary person from a low level all the way up to level 99 requires a full 5,000 gold. 15,000 gold. I can't max out all 9 girls, but I can first form the seed of a perfect tactical squad. In any hardcore game, a competent team needs a tank, damage dealers, and a healer. Right now, Elena is my top frontline heavy knight, so I still need a stealth damage dealer who can kill in one strike from the shadows, and a powerful healer who can keep health bars up from the back. My gaze swept over the girls and finally settled on Chloe. Name, Chloe. Current level, 3. Class, Street Thief. Loyalty, 95. Gold needed to reach level 99, 5. 000. I then looked at the other quiet girl who had been curled in the corner, tearing off the hem of her dirty skirt to try to bandage Elena's wound. Her name was Sarah, and there was an extraordinary gentleness and resolve in her eyes. Name, Sarah. Current level, 2. Class, Novice Priest. Loyalty, 98. Gold needed to reach level 99, 5,000. Perfect. It's them. System. Stop wasting words. Deduct 10,000 gold coins and directly level Chloe and Sarah up to 99. I shouted the command in my mind. Ding! 10,000 gold coins successfully deducted. Targets, Chloe, Sarah. Super upgrade commencing, boom! Thunder erupted from a clear sky. 2 pillar-thick beams of light crashed down from the dark red heavens. One was an eerie, ghostly purple, exuding a biting chill and the scent of shadows. The other was a pure, warm milky white, like the first ray of morning sunlight breaking through a forest. Chloe and Sarah were both sucked into midair. Chloe in the purple light let out a soft exclamation. The tattered strips of cloth on her body were instantly replaced by a form-fitting shadow leather armor with a faint metallic S. Heen. On the outside of her 2 long thighs, 2 dark gold daggers emitting a purple, highly poisonous mist appeared out of thin air. Her eyes turned into an amber like those of a feline, and she exuded a deadly, dangerous beauty. Sarah in the white light appeared supremely sacred. A spotless white gold cleric's robe draped over her exquisitely shaped body, and she now held a silver staff half a person tall, topped with a football-sized magic crystal that emitted a soft glow. Her face, which had been pale from hunger, instantly flushed, and even her skin became as delicate as a peeled egg. When the light faded, the two landed steadily. Oh my God! Chloe stared at her powerful-looking hands, then her body trembled slightly. And she actually vanished from the air as if disappearing into thin air. The next second, her voice suddenly came from behind me, pressed against my ear. Boss, I can now see the trajectory of every speck of dust in the air. With one word from you, I can shred that idiot brother who exiled you and tear his throat to pieces in half a second. Holy shit, no wonder she's a level 99 divine assassin. Her stealth skills are simply nice. Sarah lifted her staff and bowed to me gracefully. Thank you for the master's divine grace. With me here, your team will never bleed. She gave her staff a gentle wave, and a ring of green life aura rippled outward. The soreness in my shoulder from hitting the carriage instantly vanished, and even my spirit became incredibly refreshed. The remaining 7 girls were completely stunned. Without any hesitation, they all knelt down in unison, their heads pressed tightly against the dirt, their bodies trembling violently from excitement. In my system interface, the loyalty bars for these 7 girls shot up like they were on rockets, instantly all breaking past the 90 mark. Great Master, please guide us. We are willing to devote everything to you, even our lives, they screamed, their eyes filled with fanaticism. Don't worry, girls. There will be bread. And there will be max level 2. I said proudly. I still had 5,000 gold coins in my hand, and I decided to save them for now. After all, we were headed to Greystone Town, that godforsaken border village. Arriving with some provisions in hand keeps you from panicking. Elena! I shouted. Here, Master. The armored woman knight stepped forward at once, looking brave and elegant. Get the girls into the carriage. Although the horses pulling it are dead, I glanced at the corpses of the beasts on the ground and rubbed my chin. Leave it to me, boss. Chloe, hidden in the shadows, gave a soft laugh. There's a herd of wild Blackman mountain horses nearby. I'll go and fetch them. They'll be more than happy to be your drivers. In less than 10 minutes, 2 huge Blackman warhorses with gentle eyes had been physically persuaded by Chloe with a dagger, and obediently had the carriage reins put on. I sat comfortably in the freshly repaired carriage, flanked on both sides by 2 level 99 divine beauties, while outside a max-level paladin rode escort on horseback. Greystone Town was just beyond the hillside. That greedy Mayor Carter is probably now drinking cheap malt beer, waiting to collect my corpse, right, brother? Ready for a surprise? I brought some heavy stuff with me. The carriage wound down the rough mountain road. From afar I could already smell that acrid stench of cheap coal smoke mixed with cow dung in the air. Greystone Town, the Empire's most peripheral cancer. There was no law here. Only violence and exploitation. Boss, there's a checkpoint up ahead. Looks like we've run into a not-so-friendly welcoming committee. Chloe's voice sounded in the carriage out of nowhere, startling me. Even knowing she was a level 99 Gator assassin, her uncanny method still gave me goosebumps. I parted the carriage curtain and looked out. On the checkpoint ahead, a rough log lay across. A few guards in tattered leather armor, helmets askew, were gathered together, drinking malt ale and loudly making lewd bets. Hey! Look whose shabby wagon this is. A guard with a scar across his face spotted us. He spat a blade of grass from his mouth and staggered over, brandishing a rusty broadsword. When the carriage halted at the outpost, the scarred man's gaze swept past the window and landed directly on Sarah sitting beside me and Chloe hidden in the shadows. His eyes lit up like a starving wolf's, and he greedily swallowed. Well, isn't this the little wastrel of the Vance family? The scarred man rapped the carriage plank and spoke with extreme levity. Our town lord, Lord Carter, has been expecting you for some time. But you pay a toll to enter the town, that's the rule. Since you're penniless now, why not settle with these female slaves of yours? 1 woman for 10 silver coins. How about it? The other guards broke into uproarious laughter, emitting all sorts of nasty whistles. I sat in the carriage, too lazy even to move a finger. In the face of absolute power, any verbal provocation seemed extremely foolish and ridiculous. Elena, I said lightly. My voice was not loud, but it carried clearly outside the carriage. Present, Master. Beside the carriage, Elena, riding a Blackman warhorse, slowly stepped forward. She didn't even draw that Tumterlong greatsword. She only glanced coldly at the scar-faced man. The terrifying pressure of a 99th level paladin swept out like a mountain-topping flood. The temperature in the air seemed to drop by a dozen degrees in that instant, and the withered shrubs around were pressed flat against the ground by this invisible force. The scarred man's laughter stuck in his throat. He felt as if a 10-pound boulder sat on his chest. Even breathing became agonizingly difficult, his legs trembled uncontrollably. And he finally fell to his knees in the mud. The ale of the other guards sobered instantly. The weapons in their hands clattered to the ground, their faces filled with boundless terror. Though weak, they were nonetheless men who had licked blood on the border's blade. This kind of oppressive dread that snuffed out any thought of resistance was something they'd only heard about in rumors of the Empire's guardians. Pay taxes? Use my woman to offset taxes? I opened the carriage door and slowly climbed down. I planted my leather-booted foot and looked down at the scar-faced man kneeling on the ground, cold sweat pouring from him. No. No, sir. I was blind and failed to recognize a great man. I deserve to die. The scar-faced man slapped his own face frantically, his cheeks swelling instantly like a pig's head. Take me to Carter. I stepped aside to avoid the mud splashed by his kowtows. Now. Immediately. Yes, this way, sir. Under the trembling guidance of the guards, our carriage swaggered into Greystone Town. The town's streets were filthy. Sewage running everywhere. The residents along the streets wore tattered clothes and stared at us with numb expressions. Yet when they saw Elena walking at the front of the carriage, radiating a sacred aura, and the 7 female slaves at the rear still clad in rough linen but with healthy complexions and lively spirits, everyone's faces showed astonishment. The mayor's mansion was the only 2-story stone building in town. There was even a dry little fountain in front of its door. At that moment, Mayor Carter, fat as a sow, stood on the balcony of the 2nd floor holding a glass of expensive red wine. When he recognized Elena and Sarah beside the carriage, the wineglass slipped from his hand and shattered on the ground. Damn it, how is this possible? How could that useless guy bring back forces of this caliber? Those 2 women. Are those a knight and a cleric? Carter's fat face trembled violently, his eyes full of terror. By the time I reached the hall, Carter had already come tumbling down the stairs. He tried to force a gentle smile, but it looked worse than crying. Oh, dear young Master Arthur, welcome to Greystone Town. I am Carter, the town mayor. Carter wiped the cold sweat from his brow, obsequiously extending his fat hand ringed with gold. Lord Damien wrote me earlier saying you would come here to recuperate. How rude of me not to come out to greet you in person. I didn't reach out. I merely plopped down on the central leather sofa. Chloe and Sarah stood to my left and right behind me, and Elena stood guard at the doorway like a war goddess, her great sword leaning against the doorframe. Carter, put away that disgusting act. I tapped the arm of the sofa, my tone calm but carrying an unquestionable authority. My brother wrote to you to have you take care of me, ideally to let me die unnoticed out in the wilderness, right? Carter's face went pale in an instant, his pea-sized eyes darting wildly. No, how could that be? I am the most loyal servant of the Vance family. Enough, stop acting. I interrupted him. I don't feel like pursuing it. However, I need a sum of money right now. About 100,000 gold coins. As the mayor, you should know how to get me that money as quickly as possible. Right, 100,000 gold coins? Carter screamed, his voice changing tone. Sir, are you joking? Even if you sold all of Greystone Town you couldn't raise that many coins. Oh, really? I smiled faintly and turned to look at the empty shadow behind me. Chloe, go take a look around our mayor's study. I bet he has a lot of little ledgers that aren't publicly known. At once, boss. Chloe's playful voice echoed through the empty hall. But not a trace of her could be seen. Cadden felt as if he'd fallen into an ice pit. He knew he'd hit a brick wall this time. And a very hard one at that. When Chloe stepped out of the shadows, she was fiddling with an exquisitely crafted redwood box. The box was finely made and even bore a complex magical lock, clearly not something a backwater place like Greystone Hollow could produce. At the sight of the box, Cadden reacted like a cat stepped on the tail. His fat body shot up. No, you can't touch that, he screamed, reaching out with his stubby fingers to grab it, only to be gently shoved back by Elena's sword hilt, his rotund body bouncing back like a rubber ball. Boss, this old fellow's vault is defended like a tortoise shell. But it won't stump me. Chloe casually pinched, and the magically reinforced lock that looked incredibly sturdy crumbled like a cookie into dust. Inside there's an Imperial Bank purple gold magic crystal card, some messy ledgers and… a bounty notice. I took the box and opened it. Well, no wonder Carter really is a thorough rat. I don't know the exact balance on that purple gold magic crystal card, but just from those bills, his secret profiteering from military supplies and skimming border garrison pay over the years must have netted at least several tens of thousands of gold coins. However, my attention was drawn to a yellowed parchment scroll pressed at the very bottom of the box. It was an SS-class bounty issued by the Imperial Adventurers Guild. Bounty target, Shadow Wolf King and its pack. Danger level, catastrophic. Last seen, deep within Greystone Gorge. Reward 150. 000 gold coins, plus a baronial title. I stared at the line that read 150,000 gold coins, my eyes going wide. This was fucking like a pillow being handed to a sleepyhead. If I took out that pack of wolves, not only could I level all 7 remaining girls up to 99, I could also casually pick up a noble title for fun. What is this bounty notice about? I slapped the parchment onto the table and stared at Carter. Catess trembled as she lifted her head, her face bitter. My lord, that was a bounty the Empire posted 5 years ago. Those shadow wolves are mutated beasts. Not only are they incredibly fast, but their pelts can resist most magical attacks. In the past 5 years, over 20 elite mercenary companies have gone to Greystone Gorge, and not a single person came back alive. That bounty notice. I just kept it as a memento. 20 mercenary companies? Sounds like they went to deliver takeout. I snorted. Kate. I'm confiscating your purple gold card as compensation for your earlier rudeness to me. As for those shadow wolves. I stood, snatched up the bounty notice, and turned to look at my 3 max-level Valkyries. Ladies, any interest in going up into the mountains for a hunt? We'll have an extra dish tonight: roasted wolf legs. A fierce fighting spirit flared in Elena's eyes. Where my master's blade points, there I shall charge. Sarah smiled gently. As long as I'm here, your team will always be at its peak. Chloe excitedly licked the dark gold dagger at her lips. My dagger was just itching to taste blood. I hope those wolf pups run fast enough, otherwise it'll be boring. I nodded in satisfaction. With these 3 at max level in divine gear. Never mind some disaster shadow wolves, if a dragon showed up I could pull it apart bone by bone and make soup. You lot, I said, pointing at the 7 girls who were still in ordinary state, stay at the mayor's residence. Don't worry, Mayor Carter will protect you. No one will dare touch a hair on your heads. I turned to Carter, my tone icy. If when I return I find even one of their hairs missing, I'll turn you into mince and feed it to your favorite stray dogs. Understand? Carter trembled all over, repeatedly kowtowing. I understand, I understand. I swear on my life, I absolutely guarantee their safety. Leaving Greystone Town, the 3 of us headed toward Greystone Gorge. A strange, perpetual fog hung over the gorge, and the surroundings were terrifyingly quiet. Not even a single bird called. The air was thick with a pungent metallic smell of blood and the reek typical of some wild beast. Boss, they're here. There are many of them. Probably over 100. They're surrounding us. Chloe's figure had already vanished into the mist. Only her voice came through the squad channel into my ear. Prepare to fight. Sarah, put up a shield first. Elena, you draw their fire. I drew the long sword at my hip. Although I knew this battered iron blade couldn't even cut a shadow wolf's hide, at least it made a show. As you command, master. Sarah swept her wand. 3 beams of holy light fell and formed an indestructible divine aegis around us. Then she chanted another spell and a huge life totem sprang from the ground, exuding a rich vitality. Elena hefted the 2-meter heavy greatsword and slammed it down onto the ground. She drew a deep breath and let out an ear-splitting roar, War God's taunt. The roar transformed into a tangible sound wave that spread outward. The shadow wolves that had been hiding in the darkness, waiting to ambush, instantly lost their senses. Their pairs of blood-red eyes fixed on Elena as if she were the mortal enemy who had killed their fathers. Howl. With a piercing howl, hundreds of shadow wolves, each the size of a calf and covered in jet black, rigid fur, rushed madly out of the mist from all directions, surging toward Elena like a tide of darkness. Good, come. Elena did not retreat but advanced, her whole body erupting with dazzling silver battle chi as she plunged into the pack of wolves like a meteor. This was a one-sided slaughter. A max-level heavy-armored knight displayed overwhelming, terrifying power against these disaster-grade beasts. Each swing of her greatsword brought a tide of blood and gore. Those proud, hardy pelts were as fragile as paper beneath Elena's greatsword. In less than 3 minutes, the once invincible pack had suffered over half its number in deaths and injuries. The remaining shadow wolves finally felt fear, and they began to whine and retreat. Trying to run? A soft laugh suddenly came from the air. Chloe's figure appeared like a phantom above a few shadow wolves attempting to flee. The twin daggers in her hands became 2 streaks of purple lightning, cutting through the pack. Each flash of violet precisely sliced a shadow wolf's throat, not even allowing a scream. At that moment, a wolf howl, more furious and more majestic than before, echoed from the deepest part of the canyon. With the ground shaking violently, a giant wolf the size of a full-grown elephant, its fur like burning black flames, slowly emerged from the mist. The Shadow Wolf King. Its golden eyes, full of intelligence and cruelty, fixed on us, its whole body exuding a suffocating, terrifying pressure. I looked at this majestic behemoth, the corners of my mouth curling up in a manic grin. System. Evaluate, can this thing be kept as a pet? The system's cold mechanical voice immediately sounded in my mind. Now it was more alluring than a Victoria's Secret angel's sigh. Ding! Target detected, catastrophic grade mutated Shadow Wolf King. Status, extremely hostile. System prompt. This creature possesses very high intelligence. When its HP drops below 10 and it becomes absolutely submissive terrified to the host, you may spend 10,000 gold to forcibly sign a soul contract and convert it into a loyal battle pet. When I heard that, the curve at the corner of my mouth grew wider. In other words, as long as you don't kill it, you can beat it up however you want, right? I snapped my fingers, pointed at the wolf lord that had its blood-filled maw open and was about to unleash some terrifying magic, and shouted, "Ladies! Did you hear me? Leave it with one breath, everything else, beat it to death. I want it as my personal mount, as you wish, my master." Elena's lips curved into an excited, cold smile. The wolf lord seemed to understand my provocation. A flash of fury passed through its golden eyes. Suddenly it opened its huge mouth, and a black sphere of pure shadow energy, compressed into a ball bearing the aura of total destruction, hurtled toward me like a cannon shot. "Boss, watch out!" But there was no need for me to dodge. Elena stood before me like an insurmountable steel fortress. She gripped the great cross sword with both hands, and her silver battle chi erupted to its peak in an instant. Holy light bulwark, boom! The shadow orb slammed hard into a huge silver shield of light that had appeared out of nowhere. This terrifying strike, capable of flattening half a hill, only caused ripples across Elena's light shield and didn't even make her take a half step back. The Wolf King was stunned. On that ferocious wolf face there appeared, almost humanly, a hint of bafflement. With its pitiful brain capacity, it probably couldn't fathom why this human could tank its ultimate move. But its bewilderment ended there. "Big Bear, look up!" Chloe's mocking voice came from above the Wolf King. The Wolf King snapped his head up to see Chloe hanging upside down in the air like a bat, two dark gold daggers tracing two perfect purple crosses in the air, precisely stabbing into the joints at the back of the Wolf King. Howl! The Wolf King let out a mournful howl, its massive body crashing to the ground. But it wasn't over yet. It tried to struggle to its feet when a soft white light suddenly fell upon it. It was Sarah's healing spell. The wound on the Wolf King's back healed instantly. Before it could rejoice, Elena's great sword slammed into its forehead with the flat of the blade, leaving it seeing stars. Immediately after, Chloe unleashed a dazzling combo, deliberately targeting painful but non-lethal spots. Whenever the Wolf King was about to go down, Sarah would pull it back to the passing line with a single heal. Then Elena and Chloe resumed their mixed doubles assault. This scene is so brutal that even I, a modern person, can't bear to watch. What kind of divine tactic is this? This is literally the endless torment build that would make capitalists weep. They've turned a disaster-level boss into an experienced farming punching bag. About 10 minutes later, the once arrogant Shadow Wolf King had been tormented to the point where it didn't even have the strength to howl. It lay on the ground like an abandoned husky, trembling all over. And those once cruel golden eyes were now filled only with deep fear and grievance. When Elena raised her great sword again, the Wolf King actually clutched its head with both forepaws, emitting pleading woo-woo sounds from its throat, and even voluntarily rolled over to show me its soft belly. Ding! The target has been detected as completely submissive, obedience level reaching 100. Consume 10,000 gold coins to form a contract? Contract? I issued the command without hesitation. A dazzling dark golden light descended from the sky, enveloping the great body of the Wolf King. After the light faded, not only did all the wounds on the Wolf King vanish, but its once jet-black fur took on a layer of noble dark golden sheen. And its physique became more balanced and streamlined like a top-spec supercar. It walked up to me docilely and rubbed its head, which was larger than my entire body, gently against my thigh. I stroked its sleek fur, feeling utterly ecstatic. From today on, you'll be called Shadow. Come on, pick up our spoils and let's head back to town. By the way, that wolf pack we just wiped out was completely annihilated, and the system credited me a full 50,000 gold coins. With the previous balance, I now have a total of 65,000 gold coins on hand. After deducting the 10,000 contract fee, I'm left with 55,000. If I cash in that 150,000 gold bounty, I'll truly be the richest person on the frontier. I flipped onto the broad back of the Shadow Wolf King. It was more comfortable than a Rolls-Royce aviation seat. Alina and Sarah flanked us as guards, and Chloe melted back into the shadows. When we strode triumphantly to the gates of Greystone, the whole town erupted. The townspeople looked at the legendary disaster-grade giant wolf that could reportedly swallow people whole, and seeing it behaving like a well-trained big dog being straddled by me, they were all so frightened they knelt along both sides of the street, not even daring to lift their heads. In this borderland that esteems strength, strength is everything. After today, no one will regard me as that exiled worthless noble anymore. I will make them know that a brand new mercenary empire that belongs to me is rising on this red earth. On the second-floor balcony of the mayor's residence, Carter, who I had thought had died in the canyon, was now gripping the railing so hard his nails were digging into the wood. His fat face was twisted like a crumpled scrap of paper, beads of cold sweat dripping down from his chin. No. Impossible. How could he have come back alive? He even tamed the Shadow Wolf King, Carter murmured. A flash of mad malice in his eyes. No, he absolutely mustn't be allowed to leave Greystone alive. If he discovers that secret, I'm finished, Carter beckoned, and an assassin, cloaked entirely in black, appeared silently behind him. Go, notify the Black Skull Mercenary Corps. Also, set the Grand Hall with the most lavish feast tonight, and tell them I'll personally host a welcome banquet for young Master Arthur to celebrate his triumphant return from hunting the wolf pack. A cruel, cold smile curled at the corner of Carter's mouth. At the town entrance, sitting atop the wolf, Chloe's teasing report echoed in my mind. Boss, that fat pig of a mayor seems to be muttering about a welcome banquet upstairs. Shall we go to the feast? I stroked my chin and revealed a smile even more villainous than Carter's. Go. Why not? Someone wants to treat us to a free dinner, so of course we should give him an unforgettable surprise. Tell the girls not to hold back tonight. Play wide open. Night fell, and the mayoral residents of Greystone lit torches that bathed the rough stone walls in a crimson glow. I strode toward the wide-open door with Elena, Sarah, and Chloe in tow. As for the other 7 girls who hadn't been upgraded yet, I had Sarah set up a double sacred ward around their temporary quarters. To be honest, unless a 100-man wizard guild bombarded this place for 3 days straight, nobody on this borderland could break the defensive shield casually cast by a 99-level priest. As for my new pet, the massive Shadow Wolf King Shadow, I had it lie in wait in the shadows outside the manor. The moment we entered the banquet hall, a strong aroma of roast meat mixed with cheap perfume hit us. In the center of the hall stood a long table draped with white linen, piled with roast suckling pig, pies, and barrels of malt-scented ale. Oh, our great hero, young Master Arthur! Mayor Carter approached from the main seat like a moving human missile. He had changed into a splendid silk suit, the belt cinched so tight his paunch looked like a balloon about to burst. A near unctuous smile hung on his face, but the sly glitter in those small green eyes was unmistakable to me. Look at that robust figure. Truly the blood of the Vance family. Not only did you annihilate the wolf pack in Greystone Gorge, you even tamed that legendary wolf king. It's nothing short of a miracle, Carter exclaimed, flinging his hands dramatically as he enthusiastically ushered me toward the main seat. I plopped down without ceremony, picked up a reddened apple, took a bite, and said indistinctly, "All right. Carter, spare me the pleasantries. I'm a practical man. When are you going to pay out that 150,000 gold reward?" Carter's face twitched violently. Then he let out a laugh and personally poured me a glass of red wine. The liquid was unnaturally crimson, throwing off an eerie sheen in the firelight. "Young master, don't worry. I've already sent someone to the city to verify it. At most 3 days, and every single gold coin will be delivered into your hands." Carter lifted his own glass and handed it to me. "Come, to your supreme glory. Drink this." I was just about to reach for the glass when Sarah, standing at my side, suddenly cleared her throat softly. Sarah's gentle yet calm voice rang directly in my mind through the system squad channel. "Master, there's poison in the wine. It's a slow-acting neurotoxin called red spider spittle. If swallowed, within 10 minutes your battle chi will vanish and your body will be paralyzed." My hand holding the glass froze slightly, and the corner of my mouth curled into an amused smile. "Mate, is this how you entertain distinguished guests?" I toyed with the wineglass, glancing at Carter out of the corner of my eye. "This wine isn't aged enough. And it tastes a bit too hot." Carter's smile froze on his face. A pea-sized cold sweat slowly slid down his chubby forehead. "Master Arthur, what do you mean by that? This is wine I've been keeping private for 10 years. Enough, stop pretending." "Carter." I sighed and flung the red wine from my glass onto the floor. "Chhh. The precious redwood floor, the moment it came into contact with the liquid, actually gave off wisps of white smoke, corroding a small, charred hole. The air froze in an instant. Carter took 3 steps back, the once obsequious chubby face instantly turned dark and sinister. He sneered, then leisurely wiped his hands with a silk handkerchief, as if he had become a different person. Just as expected from someone of the Vance family, even a banished loser like you is still pretty alert. Carter clapped his hands, producing a crisp round of applause. "But Arthur, you're far too arrogant. You think bringing 2 powerful retainers lets you be the local tyrant in Greystone? You have no idea who really runs things here." As his applause died away, heavy footsteps and the clink of metal suddenly sounded from the shadows around the hall. From the side doors and the second-floor galleries, dozens of mercenaries in black heavy armor swarmed out at once, each wielding a gleaming greatsword. A brutal, bloodthirsty aura emanated from them, their gazes cold as iron. On each of their chests was a white skull emblem. Black Skull Mercenary Corps. Leading them was a nearly 2 meter tall, one-eyed giant with a face full of scars. He dragged a black two-handed great sword the size of a door, sparks screeching across the flagstones. I casually pulled up the system's appraisal function and scanned him. Target: Black Skull Mercenary Captain Jax. Level 45. Class: Berserker. Disposition: extremely hostile. Level 45, to ordinary people. That does count as a moderately strong warrior enough to swagger around a frontier post. Captain Jax, it's him? Carter pointed at me, gritting his teeth. If we kill him, his gold, those 2 exquisite female slaves, and that Shadow Wolf King will all be yours. I only need his head to report back to young Master Damien. One-eyed giant Jax sized me up with his remaining eye, then burst into a scornful laugh. Ha ha ha, Carter, you coward, did you call our whole corps here just for this snot-nosed kid? And you brought 2 girls who look like they'd shatter if you so much as touched them? Jax pointed his great sword at me, his tone unbearably arrogant. Kid, kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times. If I'm in a good mood, maybe I'll do you a favor. As for those 2 girls behind you, TSK, I'll take good care of them for you. The mercenaries in the hall burst into lascivious laughter, their eyes like those of lambs about to be slaughtered. I sat in the chair, not feeling scared at all. I almost laughed out loud. Man, I really admire your courage. A level 45 berserker, leading a bunch of trash minions who aren't even level 20, actually snarling in front of a level 99 paladin, a level 99 godlike assassin, and a level 99 cleric? It feels like a brand new player who just hit max level, wielding a starter wooden sword, trying to challenge a mainline boss on abyss difficulty. Elena, I lean back in my chair, too lazy to stand, only rubbing my temples a little in helplessness. That one-eyed dragon has too foul a mouth. I don't want to hear him speak anymore. As you wish, master. Elena stepped forward. Beneath what appeared to be ordinary clothing, a silver-blue resplendent holy armor materialized in an instant, its dazzling radiance lighting the previously dim hall as if it were daytime. Boom! The terrifying aura of a 9th level paladin was unleashed without reserve at that moment. The pressure hit like a tangible tsunami. The solid wood dining table instantly fissured, and the roasted meats and expensive wines on it were crushed into fragments by the invisible force. The black-skulled mercenaries, who a moment ago had been arrogant, fell face down in unison like wheat swept by a gale. Their heavy black armor groaned under the unbearable weight, and even the floor was pressed into deep dents. Veins bulging all over Jax's body, the level 45 berserker's battle chi he took pride in was like a small matchstick in a gale compared to this power. This can't be, Jax roared, even biting his tongue to forcefully trigger a berserk state. His eyes turned blood-red, his muscles swelled, and he lifted the Dorzai's great sword, throwing everything into a strike toward Elena. Elena didn't even look at him directly. She slowly raised her right hand, not even drawing the Tumterlong heavy cross sword at her back. There was a crisp ding. The thunderous strike that could have split the city wall was casually pinched between Elena's 2 fingers, which were clad in silver armor. Jax's eyes nearly bulged out. He tried desperately to pull back the great sword, but the blade seemed fused to Elena's fingers, not moving an inch. Too slow and too weak, Elena said coldly, her fingers tightening slightly. Crack! The giant sword, forged of steel, snapped cleanly in 2. Then Elena lifted her long right leg and delivered a plain, unadorned front kick straight into Jax's chest. Bang! Jax's 2-meter-tall massive body flew backward like a fired cannonball, smashing through 3 support pillars in succession and finally embedding itself deep into the stone wall at the end of the banquet hall. He spat a mouthful of blood mixed with bits of entrails, his head lolled, and he went straight to meet his death. Instant kill. Utter, complete instant kill. The hall was deathly silent. Only the mercenaries, pinned to the ground by the pressure, made terrified whimpering sounds. I brushed off non-existent dust from my clothes, stepped across the wreckage littering the floor, and strolled slowly up to Carter. The once overbearing mayor now lay slumped on the ground like a puddle of rotten mud. A foul, rank smell spread from his crotch had wet himself in fear. Buddy, that's your big finale? I squatted down, smiling at him. I thought you might give me something on the level of a Hollywood blockbuster. Don't kill me, young Master Arthur. I was wrong. I'm a stupid pig, Carter cried, snot and tears all over his face, wildly prostrating himself and banging his head on the ground. I have money. I have lots of money. I'm willing to buy my pathetic life. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. Haven't you just been saying that even selling the whole town wouldn't raise 100,000 gold coins? That was me lying to you. I have an underground vault. For the past 10 years I've been skimming the border garrison's pay and secretly smuggling iron ore to the northern orc tribes. I've saved up a huge sum of money, all in the cellar. It's all for you, I whistled. Good grief. This fat man really is a border cancer and a traitor. With cats leading the way, We came to a concealed wine cellar on the lowest level of the mansion. Chloe moved with practiced ease and breached 3 heavy enchanted iron doors. The moment the last door was pushed open, the sight nearly blinded me. It was a vast underground chamber filled with neatly stacked moisture-proof wooden crates. The lids had been lifted, revealing piles of glittering imperial gold coins, uncut mana crystals, and even various precious gems and jewelry. It's all here. If these treasures are all converted, their total value will definitely exceed 1 million gold coins. Carter knelt on the ground, trembling. Sir, can you let me go now? I ignored him and strode forward, pressing both hands onto the pile of gold coins and magic crystals that had formed a small mountain. Ding! Large amount of unowned wealth detected. Convert all to system gold coins. Convert everything, now! I shouted in my mind. Whoosh! In an instant, all the chests in the sealed room turned into a sky full of golden light, pouring into my body like a tornado with eyes. The soul-shivering rush of wealth skyrocketing was 10,000 times more thrilling than when I used to scratch a jackpot at a lottery shop in my previous life. Conversion complete. Current account total balance, 1,050. 000 gold coins. 1 million. It really is a fortune of 1 million. I took a deep breath, suppressing the urge to throw my head back and laugh maniacally. With this money, I could not only build an invincible max-level army to sweep the continent, but I could even buy a small duchy outright. I turned around and looked at Carter, kneeling on the ground with a face full of despair. Lord Arthur, you took all the money. You promised to let me go. Yes. I promised my sword would not drink your blood. I shrugged and snapped my fingers. From the doorway of the previously empty chamber, a massive shadow wolf king, its body wreathed in black, ghostly flames, slowly stepped in. Its golden vertical pupils fixed on Carter. It opened its blood-stained maw, and the drooling saliva sizzled as it corroded the stone floor. But my pet shadow doesn't seem to have had dinner yet today. It's in a bad mood and I can't control it. I smiled and patted Shadow's head. Ladies, let's go. The air here stinks. Behind us came Carter's desperate, miserable scream, and the sharp crack of bones being snapped by immense force. Stepping out of the mayor's manor and breathing the slightly cool night air of the border, I looked up at the stars and felt elated. The Black Skeleton Mercenary Corps is annihilated. Mayor Carter has become dog food. From this moment on, Greystone Town is mine. I opened the communications panel and glanced at the distant night. It's time to go back and check on my other 7 darlings. With 1 million gold coins, I won't allow anyone in my team to be below level 99. It was already late at night when I returned to the shabby wooden hut where the 7 girls were housed. Sarah dispelled the sacred barrier that had surrounded the place. Pushing open the door, I saw 7 girls in coarse linen clothes huddled by the stove. Hearing footsteps, they all looked up in unison like startled fawns, but when they realized it was me, the fear in their eyes instantly turned into fanatical expectation. They knew what I was going to do and had seen the miracles that happened to Elena and the others. In this borderland where human life is worth less than grass, nothing is more coveted than power. Sorry to keep you waiting, ladies. I smiled as I walked into the room. Shadow obediently lay by the door like a black guardian statue. I pulled up the system panel and stared at the blinding balance of 1,050,000 gold coins in the account, feeling the confidence of a newly rich tycoon. Without any hesitation, I directly selected the remaining 7 girls. System, deduct 35,000 gold coins and raise all 7 of these girls to level 99. Automatically match each profession to the optimal choice. Ding, command confirmed. 35,000 gold coins deducted successfully. Current balance 1,015,000 gold coins. Super upgrade program, activate. No sooner had the words fallen than the cramped wooden hut's roof seemed to turn transparent. 7 solid-looking beams of light, each a different color, crashed down from the night sky, completely enveloping the 7 girls. The entire sky above Greystone Town was painted in dazzling colors, as if an aurora had descended. It was simply a feast for the eyes. Within the light, the twin sisters Lillian and Vivian's coarse linen garments transformed into magnificent magical robes, one red, one blue. Savage fire and frigid ice elements swirled around them, and the pressure of 9 level archmages made the air itself crackle. The tallest among them, Mia, suddenly had an elven longbow emitting a faint green glow appear in her hands, and a pair of translucent wind wings sprouted from her back clearly atop her Wind Ranger. There were also a heavily armored shield guard, a berserker, a summoner. The system's intelligent allocation perfectly filled every tactical gap in my team. 10 seconds later, the light faded. 7 top-tier Valkyries, each with distinct temperaments and faces renewed, all knelt on one knee in unison, their movements sharp and synchronized as if they'd rehearsed it 1,000 times. Swear to die in loyalty to our master. Your will is the entirety of our lives, meaning 10 level 99 maxed out powerhouses. Plus a catastrophe-ter Shadow Wolf King. I looked at this outrageously lavish party before me and couldn't help drawing a deep breath. If I hauled this force to the Imperial capital right now, I could confidently raise the palace within half a day. Damien, my dear brother. Did you think exiling me to the border was sentencing me to death? Sorry, I built a max-level godly nest here. The next morning, the residents of Greystone were awakened by a dull tolling bell. When the ragged commoners cautiously stepped out of their homes and gathered in the town square. Everyone was stunned by the sight before them. In the center of the square lay the bodies of dozens clad in black heavy armor. They were the Black Skull mercenary band who had lorded over others and abused people. And the once haughty Imperious Mayor Carter was reduced to a single blood-stained ornate coat, casually hung on a wooden stake in the square. I sat in a large velvet high-backed chair moved out from the mayor's mansion, the Shadow Wolf King obediently lying at my feet. Even snoring. Behind me stood 10 ravishingly beautiful, terrifying Valkyries in a fan formation, as if gods had descended. A collective gasp went up from the crowd. Everyone unconsciously dropped to their knees, not daring to even draw a breath. People of Greystone Town, lift your heads. I tapped the armrest of the chair. My voice, amplified by Mia's wind element magic, reached the ears of every person clearly. I am Arthur Vance. As of today, the era of cat is over. Greystone Town is under my rule. I looked into those numb, cowering eyes and knew that mere force wouldn't do. If I wanted to turn this place into an impregnable stronghold, I had to give them what they needed most: hope and benefit. Carter, that fat pig, has been squeezing the blood and sweat out of you all these years. No. I announced 3 things. I held up 3 fingers. First, abolish all the harsh taxes and levies imposed by Carter. Starting today, the grain you grow and the copper coins you earn are all yours. Second, the town hall's granary is now open to everyone. Each person may collect their share of bread and cured meat by head count at your fill. Third, I will establish a brand new territorial guard here. Pay will be 3 times that of the Empire's regular army, as long as you're not afraid to die. Whether you are a blacksmith or a farmer, you may enlist. My knights will personally train you. When those 3 words came out, the whole square fell into a deathly silence, then erupted into a deafening cheer. Some of the old people were so overcome they wept uncontrollably, frantically kissing the dirt at my feet. For these border commoners struggling to make ends meet, tax relief and a full belly were the greatest of blessings. In just a few minutes, I had not only secured absolute authority but also gained a group of the most fervent followers. After calming the civilians, I returned to the study in the mayor's residence. Greystone Town is now in dire need of reconstruction. Although I have more than 1,000,000 gold coins, I cannot live off the principal. Besides, the system explicitly warned that if my max-level subordinates later want to break their level caps or awaken god-tier talents, the resources required will be enormous. I must build my own revenue engine. Boss. This is the smuggling ledger and map I found in Carter's secret room. Chloe emerged from the shadows and placed a thick sheepskin scroll on my desk. I opened the ledger and fixed my gaze on one of the pages. Greystone Vein. I tapped the area marked with a red skull on the map with my finch. That old bastard cat has been secretly mining iron and magic crystal there, smuggling it to the orc tribes in the north. It's a money pit overflowing with gold. But Master, Elena stepped forward, brow slightly furrowed. That vein lies within the border buffer zone. According to the ledger, Catter makes a deal with the Black Blood clan of orcs every half-month. Count the days. Tomorrow is their scheduled delivery. The Black Blood clan? That bunch of notoriously bloodthirsty, war-hungry green skins. I sneered. Not only did I not feel troubled, my sword in hand seemed about to rust from lack of use. Now the vein is mine, Greystone Town is mine. If those green orcs dare come for my stuff, they'll have to pay with their lives. Mia. Go notify all able-bodied people in town and hitch up the wagons. I stood up, excitement glinting in my eyes. Master, are we going to meet the orcs in battle? Mia, eager, tightened the elven longbow in her hands. Fight? No, we're going shopping. I clapped my hands, looking at the room full of max-level immortals, my mouth twisting into a manic grin. Bring all the sacks. Tomorrow, I'm going to show those orcs what a border zero-cost haul looks like. The next morning, while the morning mist still hung low, a grand convoy of 30 empty wagons rolled out of Greystone Town in single file. The townsfolk who had been pulling the cart were originally all pale-faced and trembling in their legs, but upon seeing me riding atop the massive Shadow Wolf King like a small hill, and the 10 Valkyries behind me who appeared as if gods descended, their spines straightened instantly, and they even developed a mysterious confidence of I'm the best in the world. The Greystone Vein lies in a desolate canyon 10 li outside the town. Jagged rocks pock the terrain, the ground is perilous, and the air is thick with the acrid scent of sulfur and surges of magical energy. When our caravan reached the canyon entrance, A cloud of dust was rising on the opposite horizon. Accompanied by a muffled roar and guttural howls of a massive beast, a group of large creatures with ink-green skin and protruding tusks appeared in view. They rode mutated tusked-wargs the size of small trucks, brandishing gleaming black iron battle-axes, exuding an aura of savagery and bloodlust. The raiders of the Northern March, the Black Blood Clan Orcs. Leading them was an orc war commander nearly 3 meters tall, all muscle, with a bleeding wolf head tattoo on his chest. Out of habit, I pulled up the system panel and glanced over it. Target: Black Blood Clan Deputy Chieftain, Gruck. Level 55. Class: Bloodthirsty Berserker. Disposition: extremely hostile, confused. Lord Gruck, something's wrong. A goblin shaman pushing a wheelbarrow shrieked nearby. It's not that fat bastard Cats who came, it's a bunch of human civilians, and… What is that? Is that the Shadow Wolf King? Gruck reined in his warg. A flash of brutality and greed passed through his copperbell eyes. He ignored the goblin's warning and instantly fixed his gaze on the girls behind me. Human pups, Gruck's voice boomed, shaking loose pebbles from the canyon walls. Where's that fat pig Cats? Where are the 100,000 gene of refined iron and magic crystals we demanded, and those human females behind you? TSK, they're 1,000 times better than the goods Cats brought. Leave the women and the ore. This commander might show mercy and spare you whole. The orcs burst into savage laughter, wildly battering their shields with their weapons, producing a piercing racket. I picked at my ear, sat on the Shadow's comfortable back, and looked down at him from above. Gluck, right? I smiled faintly. That guy Cat had an upset stomach yesterday, and was already eaten by my pet for a midnight snack. As for the iron and magic crystals, from today on, those things belong to me, not a grain of sand will I give you. Gluck froze for a moment, then flew into a rage. Looking for death, some worthless human dares to provoke the Black Blood Clan. Kill him. Chop all the men into mince, drag the women back to be used for birthing. Whoa! Hundreds of hellhounds roared, carrying ferocious orc cavalry, charging toward us like an overwhelming tidal wave. The tremors of the ground sent the townspeople pulling the carts into screams as they crouched down, clutching their heads. Lillian, Vivian. I yawned and waved behind me. I heard orcs have tough hides and thick flesh, and they hate both cold and heat. Give them a taste of ice and fire together to wake them up. As you command, Master. The twin grand sorceresses stepped forward in unison. Lillian's red hair flew wildly, a hint of fanatic laughter playing on her stunning face. Vivian's blue hair was like snow, her expression cold and aloof as a mountaintop. They raised their staves at the same time, and the level 99 magic within them instantly triggered a cataclysm. The once clear sky was torn apart in an instant. The left half ignited in a sea of crimson clouds as lava meteors over 10 meters across plummeted with destructive howls. The right half became shrouded in dark clouds as an arctic blizzard turned into countless crystalline ice spears that rained down like a torrential downpour. Forbidden curse level magic, Doomsday Meteor Cataclysm, Forbidden curse level magic, Absolute Zero Ice Spear Storm, Rumble. When the forbidden curses of ice and fire erupted simultaneously within the ranks of the orc charge, the entire canyon instantly turned into a living hell. The dozens of orc cavalry at the very front didn't even have time to scream before being frozen into ice sculptures by the extreme cold ice spears, and were immediately smashed by the falling lava meteors into steam and ash scattering across the sky. The fierce collision of ice and fire produced a terrifying steam explosion. The violent elemental aftershocks shaved 3 feet off the ground within several li around. In just 1 second, 2/3 of the charging orc army was wiped out. This can't be. This is a human archmage? No, 2 sages level spell gods? The goblin shaman who had fallen behind was so frightened he tumbled off his wheelbarrow, his trousers instantly wet in a large patch. Gluck was stunned too. His once arrogant green face was now as pale as paper. A level 55 bloodthirst berserker, in the face of 2 level 99 max level archmages' instant forbidden spells, didn't even count for a fart. Mia! Don't let them get away. I pointed at the orc remnants who were starting to panic and turn their wolf heads. Received, boss. Windranger Mia gracefully stepped into the air, standing on a light vortex of wind. She drew her elven longbow, and the dark green arrow in her hand split in an instant into countless jade-green streaks of light. Wrath of the Wind God, volley of 10,000 arrows, whoosh whoosh whoosh. The ear-piercing sound of slicing air rang out as countless wind-element arrows, like homing missiles with eyes, precisely pierced the throats of every orc attempting to flee. Those werewolves who prided themselves on their toughness turned as fragile as thin paper before the arrows of a 99th level ranger. In just 3 minutes, the once arrogant vanguard of the Black Blood Clan was reduced to only Gruck and that goblin shaman still gasping for breath. The black iron battle-axe in Gruck's hands fell to the ground with no strength. He dropped to his knees, his massive body trembling violently. And the way he looked at me was like looking at a world-destroying demon. Ding! Killed 120 Black Blood Clan Orc elites, gained gold, 80,000. Current balance, 1,095,000 gold. I satisfiedly put away the system prompt, rode Shadow and slowly walked up to Gruk. Gruk. Can we now properly discuss the deal? I tilted his chin up with the tip of my foot. My lord, spare me. This once arrogant orc warlord was now as humble as a cockroach. The Black Blood clan is willing to submit to you. We brought a large amount of black blood ore and the northern specialty snow lotus of the snowy mountains, all in the camp behind. We are willing to offer it all to you. Good. I snapped my fingers. Chloe, take people and loot their camp. Load all the valuables onto the carts. As for you. I looked at Gruk, a meaningful smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. Tell your chieftain this. From today on, this vein of ore belongs to me, Arthur Vance. If he wants to keep receiving refined iron and magic crystals, he'll pay 10 times as many beast crystal cores and gold in exchange. If he refuses. The 10 Valkyries behind me stepped forward in unison, their pressure at level 99 converging into a raging storm that shot up into the clouds. I will personally lead the troops and wipe the Black Blood clan's territory off the map. Gluck scrambled and crawled away with that limp goblin, not even daring to take the dead warg corpses with him. Boss, these greenskins sure have a fat stash. Chloe, like a graceful cat, stepped atop a crate after crate of supplies being carried out, and said to me. Behind her, the other Valkyries who had just been promoted to level 99 were also frantically stocking up with the townspeople. Master, 20 carts of black blood ore were taken out in total, and these high-edged snow mountain snow lotuses at the Imperial Capital's magic auction house. Each one can fetch hundreds of gold coins. Speaking was Cynthia, my level 99 heavy shield guardian. She is 8 meters tall, wearing an exaggeratedly heavy dark gold dragon pattern shield plate, and the giant shield in her hand, when set on the ground, can crack the earth around it. Right now she looked like a meticulous housekeeper, carefully inventorying the spoils. And the level 99 summoner Lilith had already summoned more than a dozen massive wind kites, helping the townspeople hoist those heavy ore blocks onto the wagons. Ding! Large quantities of rare magical materials, black blood ore and snow mountain snow lotus detected. Proceed with system reclamation? Notice, reclaiming yields 80,000 gold coins. Or keep for subsequent territory development and equipment crafting. I thought for a moment. I have enough money for now, but these demonic ores and snow lotuses are scarce resources. Black blood demonic ore can be used to craft or upgrade the girl's exclusive god tier equipment, while snow lotuses can be used to refine high-grade magical potions. Keep them, do not recycle. I issued the order. This vain expedition can be said to have been very fruitful. Not only did it completely eliminate the hidden danger threatening Greystone Town, but we also casually snagged the mining rights to an entire orc vein. By the time we triumphantly hauled 30 fully loaded wagons back to Greystone Town, the townspeople's looks had shifted from initial fear and gratitude to something bordering on fanatical religious worship. On this border, where orcs could pillage and beasts could devour you at any moment, a lord who could with a gesture annihilate an orc vanguard and still bring them bread and dignity was their god. Long live Lord Arthur! Long live Lord Vance! Cheers rang throughout Greystone Town. Back in the mayor's study, I rubbed my aching shoulders. Before my butt had even warmed the chair, the system's long unheard golden pop-up suddenly appeared in my mind. Ding! Detected that the host has fully taken control of Greystone Town and possesses more than 1 million gold coins and liquid assets. Hidden condition triggered. Territory construction system officially activated. Current territory, Greystone Town rating, E rank, extremely barren and dangerous. The system shop has been updated, unlocking exclusive items such as territory building blueprint, city defense magic array, elite training camp. My eyes lit up and I immediately clicked open the newly appeared territory shop. The goods inside were dazzling, making my mouth water. 9 heavens 10 realms Great Guardian Magic Array Legendary City Defense. Can withstand a level 99 Archmage's full bombardment for 3 days and 3 nights. Price, 200,000 gold coins. Undying Heroic Spirit Steel Elite Training Blueprint. Can train ordinary territory militia into level 30 elite sanctum guards within 3 days. Price, 100,000 gold coins. Horn of Plenty Ancient Life Tree Wondrous. Improves territory soil quality, increases crop yields tenfold within a 100-mile radius, and grants a slight healing effect. Price, 300,000 gold coins. Damn, this is the real tycoon-style play. I slapped the table. With these things I could, in just 1 month, turn this godforsaken Greystone Town into the most tightly defended and wealthiest divine-grade fortress on the entire continent. System. First buy me the 9 heavens 10 realms Grand Guardian Magic Array and the Undying Hero Spirit Monument. I waved my hand. Ding! 300,000 gold coins successfully deducted. Current balance, 795,000 gold coins. City Defense Magic Array is being deployed. Blueprint for the Elite Soldier Training Camp has been issued. Please select a construction site. In an instant, the ground of the entire Greystone town trembled slightly. Immediately after, a ring of nye-colored magical aura, invisible to the naked eye, radiated outward from the mayor's residence, quickly spreading to envelop the whole town and even the surrounding mineral veins. With this formation in place, even if the Empire's regular legions came, they could only stand outside and stare helplessly. Just as I was lost in the joy of base building and farming, Chloe's expression shifted. She pressed her ear lightly to the air, then her figure vanished in an instant. 3 seconds later, when she reappeared, she was holding a man dressed in a gray night cloak with a deathly pale face as if he were a small chick. A black thorn flower was embroidered conspicuously on the man's chest. Boss caught a little rat, sneaking around in the shadows outside the estate. And he even has the Imperial Magic Messenger's insignia on him. Chloe tossed the man to the ground and confiscated a sealed letter closed with magical wax. I took the sealed letter and stared at the black thorn flower seal on it. It was the crest of the Duke Vance's family, the very house of my so-called father and my dear brother Damien. I brushed my finger lightly and violently broke the mental seal on the confidential letter. There weren't many words on the paper, but between the lines it revealed a nauseating arrogance and malice. To Mayor Carter. I hear that good-for-nothing Arthur has already arrived in Greystone. Remember my instructions. I do not want to hear any news of him being alive at next month's family meeting. Make it clean, disguise it as an attack by bandits or orcs. Once done, 20% of the Greystone mine's profits are yours. Damien Vance. Looking at the letter, I couldn't help but chuckle under my breath. The laughter echoed through the empty study, carrying a hint of icy chill. Damien, oh Damien, you really can't wait for me to die, can you? I gently crumpled the sealed letter in my hand. The magic of a level 99 mage turned the parchment into nothing but ashen dust in an instant. Boss, should I go to the Imperial capital and take his head for a drink? Chloe had somehow circled behind me. 2 dark golden daggers danced lightly between her fingertips, throwing off a cold, dangerous gleam. No, killing him outright would be too easy for him. I stood up, walked to the window, and watched the townspeople outside rebuilding their homes with feverish energy and hope on their faces. A vast plan was slowly taking shape in my mind. The Vance family thinks I'm useless, unworthy of inheritance? Then I'll build an empire on the border that they can only look up to. When the day comes that I return, I'll make them kneel at my feet and beg me to restore our family name. I turned around and looked at my 10 max level Valkyries. Lilith. Go build the elite soldiers training camp. Starting tomorrow, recruit the first batch of guards in the town. Elena. You're in charge of training these new recruits. I want to see an invincible Templar Iron Cavalry within a week. As for the rest. The smile at the corner of my mouth gradually grew wider. Since my dear brother cares so much about me, let's give him a big gift. The spiritual seal on that letter is still there, right? Use Carter's handwriting to write him a reply. Say. Things are proceeding smoothly. Arthur has accidentally died, but he needs to personally send someone to hand over control of the Greystone mine. I want to see the expression on the face of whoever Damien sends as the receiving agent when they see Greystone Town protected by a 9-at-a-ninety-or god-class powerhouse and a legend-grade city defense formation. Grux scrambled away, dragging the limp goblin with him, not even daring to take the bodies of the dead wargs. Boss, these green-skinned monsters were surprisingly well off. Chloe, like an elegant cat, stepped across boxes of supplies being carried out and said to me. Behind her, several other Valkyries who had just reached level 99 were also leading the townspeople in a frenzied shopping spree. Master, 20 carts of black blood ore were shipped out in total. And these high-edged snow lotus from the snowy mountains at the magical auction house in the Imperial capital, each one can fetch a high price of over 100 gold coins. Speaking was Cynthia, my level 99 heavy-armored shield guardian. She stood 1.8 meters tall, clad in an exaggeratedly heavy dark gold dragon-patterned shield plate, and the tower shield she held when set on the ground could crack the earth around it. Yet now she acted like a meticulous housekeeper, carefully inventorying the spoils. The level 99 summoner Lilith had already summoned over a dozen gigantic wind kites, helping the townsfolk hoist the heavy ore onto the wagons. Ding! Large quantities of rare magical materials, black blood ore and snow mountain snow lotus detected. Recycle via system? Tip: recycling yields 80,000 gold coins, or keep for later territory development and equipment forging. I thought for a moment. I have enough money for now. But these ore and snow lotus are scarce resources. Black blood ore can be used to craft or upgrade the girl's exclusive divine-grade equipment. And snow lotus can be refined into high-grade magical potions. Keep them. Do not recycle. I issued the command. This mineral vein expedition can be said to have been very fruitful. Not only did it completely eliminate the hidden danger threatening Greystone Town, but we also conveniently snagged the entire mining rights to an orc vein. By the time our grand procession of 30 fully loaded wagons returned to Greystone Town, the townspeople's looks had shifted from initial fear and gratitude to something approaching fervent religious adoration. On this frontier, where raids by orcs or being devoured by beasts could happen at any moment, a lord who can wipe out an orc vanguard with a wave of his hand and also bring them bread and dignity is their god. Long live Lord Arthur! Long live Lord Vance! Cheers echoed throughout Greystone Town. Back in the mayor's study, I rubbed my slightly sore shoulders. Before my butt had even warmed the seat, the system's long unseen golden pop-up suddenly appeared in my mind. Ding! Host detected to have completely taken control of Greystone Town and possess liquid funds exceeding 1 million gold coins. Hidden condition triggered. Territory construction system officially activated. Current territory, Greystone Town rating, E grade. Extremely barren and dangerous. System shop updated. Unlocked exclusive items. Territory building blueprint, city defense magic array, elite troops training camp, etc. My eyes lit up and I immediately clicked open the newly appeared territory shop. The goods inside were dazzling, making my mouth water. 9 Heavens 10 Realms Grand Talisman Magic Array Legendary City Defense, can withstand a level 99 Archmage's full bombardment for 3 days and 3 nights. Price, 200,000 gold coins. Undying Hero Monument Elite Training Blueprint. Can train ordinary militia in the territory into level 30 Elite Sanctum Guardians within 3 days. Price, 100,000 gold coins. Horn of Plenty Life Tree Wondrous Class, improves the territory's soil. Crop yields within a 100-mile radius increase tenfold, and it comes with a minor healing effect. Price, 300,000 gold coins. Fuck, this is the real flashy rich player strategy. I slapped the table. With these items, I could turn this godforsaken Greystone Town into the most tightly defended and wealthiest divine-level fortress on the continent in just 1 month. System. First buy me the 9 Heavens 10 Realms Great Talisman Magic Array and the Immortal Hero Monument. I waved my hand. Ding! 30,000 gold coins successfully deducted. Current balance, 795,000 gold coins. City Defense Magic Array is being deployed. Elite Soldier Training Camp Blueprint has been issued. Please choose a construction site. In an instant, the ground of the entire Greystone Town trembled slightly. Immediately after, a ring of nye-colored magical light invisible to the naked eye radiated outward from the mayor's residence, quickly spreading to envelop the whole town and even the surrounding mineral veins. With this formation, even if the Empire's regular legions come, they'll only be able to stare helplessly from outside. Just as I was lost in the joy of building infrastructure and farming, Chloe's expression shifted. She pressed her ear lightly to the air, then vanished in an instant. 3 seconds later, when she reappeared, she was holding a man like one would hold a chick, a man in a grey night cloak with a deathly pale face. Embroidered on his chest was a black thorn blossom. Boss caught a little rat sneaking around in the shadows outside the manor, and he had the Empire's magical courier mark on him. Chloe tossed the man to the ground and casually confiscated a sealed letter bound with magic. I took the sealed letter and looked at the black thornflower wax on it. It was the Vance ducal family crest, that is, the emblem of my so-called father and my dear brother Damien. I ran my finger lightly across it and violently broke the mental seal on the letter. There weren't many words, but between the lines there was a nauseating arrogance and malice. To Mayor Carter. I hear that useless Arthur has already arrived in Greystone. Remember my instructions. I do not want to hear any news of him being alive at next month's family meeting. Make it look clean, stage it as an attack by raiders or orcs. Once it's done, 20% of the Greystone Mine's profits will be yours. Damien Vance. Looking at the letter, I couldn't help but let out a low laugh. The laughter echoed in the empty study, carrying a hint of cold warmth. Damien, oh Damien, you really can't wait for me to die. Can you? I gently crumpled the sealed letter in my hand, and the magic of a 999 level mage instantly turned the parchment into nothing but ash and dust. Boss, should I go to the capital and cut his head off to wash it down with drinks? Chloe had somehow slipped behind me. 2 dark gold daggers danced nimbly on her fingertips, throwing off a cold, dangerous gleam. No, killing him outright would be far too easy for him. I stood up, walked to the window, and watched the townsfolk outside feverishly rebuilding their homes. Faces full of hope. A vast plan was slowly taking shape in my mind. The Vance family thinks I'm worthless, unfit to inherit, do they? Then I'll build an empire on the border that they can only look up at. When the day I return comes, I will make them kneel at my feet and beg me to restore the family name. I turned around and looked at my 10 max level Valkyries. Lilith. Go build the elite training camp. Starting tomorrow, recruit the first batch of guards in town. Elena. You're in charge of training these recruits. I want to see an invincible Templar iron cavalry within a week. As for the rest of you. The smile at the corner of my mouth gradually widened. Since my dear brother cares so much about me, let's give him a big present. The mental imprint on that letter is still there, right? Use Cart's handwriting to write him back. Say. Things are going very smoothly. Arthur has died in an accident. But he needs to personally send someone to take over control of the Greystone or Vane. I want to see the look on the reception team Damien sends, what kind of spectacular expression they'll have when they see Greystone Town. Protected by 99 god-level warriors and a legendary city defense formation. 2 weeks passed in the blink of an eye. Under the unearthly effects of the Undying Hero Monument and Elena's demonic training, Greystone Town underwent earth-shattering changes. The once gaunt, timid townsfolk now wore gleaming silver heavy armor, carried tempered steel spears, and averaged level 30, becoming the elite Sanctum Guards. The 9 Heavens 10 Realms Grand Custodian magic array that enveloped the town emitted a faint 9-colored radiance through the void, painting this former ruined settlement like a divine kingdom. That morning at dawn, the entrance to the canyon resounded with a rapid clatter of hooves. The heir of the Vance family, my dear brother Damien, personally rode a purebred unicorn, leading 500 elite Imperial cavalry and a haughtily expressioned level 60 court archmage, and majestically entered the territory of Greystone Town. He had been imagining Cato coming to claim credit and Arthur's corpse lying in the wilderness in a tragic scene. However, when he crested the hill and saw what lay before him, he fell straight off his horse. This can't be. Damien stared fixedly at the towering 100-meter walls that pierced the clouds and the legendary grade defensive barrier that even the Imperial capital did not possess, his eyes nearly popping out. This is Greystone Town? Did I take the wrong map? Who in the city dares make a racket before my lord's domain? A coquettish shout exploded like thunder across the sky. Boom! The heavy black iron city gates slowly opened. I rode out leisurely atop the Shadow Wolf King, its body now the size of a small mountain and suffused with dark golden divine light, flanked by 10 full-level Valkyries of graceful bearing and overwhelming presence. Behind us, over 1,000 level 30 temple guards marched out of the city in formation, their steps perfectly synchronized, pounding the ground with a thunderous roar. That overwhelming aura of murderous intent instantly terrified the 500 iron cavalry Damien had brought, causing the war horses to neigh and collapse to the ground. Arthur? How can you still be alive, you useless piece of trash? Damien pointed at me, his voice warped sharp by extreme fear and jealousy. Oh, my dear brother, I hate to disappoint you. I sat on the Wolf King, looking down on him from above, my tone full of mockery. That fat pig Carter visited me in a dream last night, and said he's pretty lonely in hell, asking you to come down and play cards. Arrogant, protect the young master, the 60-level court archmage standing beside Damien roared and frantically pushed his mana, trying to chant an 8th-tier destruction spell. However, just as he opened his mouth, my twin sister Lillian, who was standing at my side, impatiently blew out a breath. Boom! An invisible psychic shock instantly backlashed the archmage's spell. He let out a blood-curdling scream and exploded into a cloud of blood mist in midair. Instant kill. A 60-level archmage who struck fear across the empire was nothing but an ant before a 99-level arch-god. This. Damien was terrified out of his wits. His crotch instantly soaked in a large patch, scrambling and crawling as he tried to flee. Take them down, leave none alive. I issued the order coldly. There was no need for the Valkyries to act. 1,000 temple guards surged forward, like a flood of steel, instantly overwhelming the 500 Imperial cuirassiers. In less than 3 minutes, the battle was completely over. Damien was pinned to the muddy ground like a dead dog by Elena, desperately kowtowing and begging me for mercy. Arthur, I'm your brother, spare me. The Duke of Vance's position is yours. The whole family is yours. I flipped off the Wolf King's back, walked up to him, and lightly tapped his face with the tip of my sword. The Vance family? That kind of trash. I've long since outgrown it. I smiled faintly, a fierce ambition flashing in my eyes. My goal is this entire continent. As the words fell, the Shadow Wolf King let out an excited roar, opened its blood-filled jaws, and, amid Damien's desperate screams, devoured him completely. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. In these 6 months, the entire pattern of the fantastical continent was completely rewritten. Starting from Greystone Town, my Valkyrie Legion was invincible. Whether it was the Orc Empire in the north that boasted 1,000,000 iron cavalry, or those century-old impregnable kingdoms in the south, they were as fragile as paper toys before my 10 Valkyries Natina level, maxed out, and equipped with countless divine-grade artifacts. With a continuous flow of gold coins, I not only transformed Greystone Town into the continent's only super-holy fortress, but also expanded my legion to 1,000,000 troops, with an average level as high as 80. In front of the Imperial capital's main gate, The old emperor trembled as he placed the crown symbol of supreme power with both hands respectfully at my feet. Behind him, Duke Vance, once exalted birth father, knelt in the humblest corner, not even daring to raise his head to look at me. I donned the supreme imperial robe woven with 9 god-radiant lights and stepped, one pace at a time, onto the golden throne that symbolizes dominion over the continent. At my side, Elena, Sarah, Chloe, 10 exquisitely beautiful and overwhelmingly powerful level 99 Valkyries watched me silently with fervent and affectionate gazes. I sit upright on the throne, overlooking the magnificent sight of 10,000 nations coming to pay homage below. A faint smile at the corner of my mouth. So what if Exile was the beginning, holding a million-rich system in my hand, bearing 10 max-level Valkyries? This world, after all, is ultimately the possession of me, Arthur Vance, and that's a wrap, folks. If this story gave you that sweet dopamine hit and was more satisfying than peeling the plastic off a brand new TV, do me a massive favor, obliterate that like button and hit subscribe. I'm locked in the content mine, serving up fresh, ridiculously satisfying stories every single day. See you tomorrow for your next fix.